Section 34 of Poems of American History, the Colonial Era. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recorded by Ed Humple. Poems of American History, the Colonial Era. Chapter 8, The Struggle for the Continent, Part 3. Though the Peace of Utrecht, 1714, closed the war, desultory raids continued. In April, 1725, John Lovewell of Dunstable, with 46 men, marched against the Indian town of Pigwacket, or Pequawket, now Freiburg. On the morning of May 8th, they were suddenly attacked by a large force of Indians who had formed an ambuscade. 12 men fell at the first fire, among them Lovewell himself. The survivors fought against heavy odds until sunset, when the Indians drew off without having been able to scalp the dead. It was this battle, in its day as famous in New England as was Chevy Chase at the Scottish border, which inspired the earliest military ballad still extant, composed in America. Its author is unknown, but it was for many years the best beloved song in all New England. Lovewell's Fight, May 8th, 1725. Of worthy Captain Lovewell I propose now to sing, how valiantly he served his country and his king. He and his valiant soldiers did range the woods full wide, and hardships they endured to quell the Indians' pride. 'Twas nigh unto Pigwacket, on the 8th day of May, they spied a rebel Indian soon after break of day. He on bank was walking upon a neck of land, which leads into a pond as we've made to understand. Our men resolved to have him, and travelled 2 miles round, till they met the Indian who boldly stood his ground. Then spake up Captain Lovewell, "Take you good heed," says he, "this rogue is to decoy us, I very plainly see. The Indians lie in ambush, in some place nigh at hand, in order to surround us upon this neck of land. Therefore we'll march in order, and each man leave his pack, that we may briskly fight them when they make their attack." Then came unto this Indian, who did them thus defy, as soon as they came nigh him, 2 guns he did let fly, which wounded Captain Lovewell, and likewise 1 man more, but when this rogue was running, they laid him in his gore. Then having scalped the Indian, they went back to the spot where they had laid their packs down, but there they found them not. For the Indians, having spied them, when they them down did lay, did seize them for their plunder, and carry them away. These rebels lay in ambush, this very place hard by, so that an English soldier did one of them espy, and cried out, "Here's an Indian," and with that they started out, as fiercely as old lions, and hideously did shout. With that our valiant English all gave a loud huzzah, to show the rebel Indians they feared not them a straw. So now the fight began, and as fiercely as could be, the Indians ran up to them, but soon were forced to flee. Then spake up Captain Lovewell, when first the fight began, "Fight on, my valiant heroes, you see they fall like rain. For as we are informed, the Indians were so thick, a man could scarcely fire a gun, and not some of them hit. And did the rebels try their best our soldiers to surround? But they could not accomplish it, because there was a pond, to which our men retreated, and covered all the rear. The rogues were forced to face them, although they skulked for fear. 2 logs there were behind them, that close together lay. Without being discovered they could not get away. Therefore our English they travelled in a row, and at a handsome distance, as they were wont to go. 'Twas 10 o'clock in the morning, when first the fight began, and fiercely did continue until the setting sun, excepting that the Indians, some hours before 'twas night, drew off into the bushes, and ceased a while to fight. But soon again returned, in fierce and furious mood, shouting as in the morning, but yet not half so loud. For as we are informed, so thick and fast they fell, scarce 20 of their number at night did get home well. And that our valiant English till midnight there did stay, to see whether the rebels would have another fray. But they no more returning, they made off towards their home, and brought away their wounded as far as they could come. Of all our valiant English there were but 34, and of the rebel Indians there were about 80, and 16 of our English did safely home return. The rest were killed and wounded, for which we all must mourn. Our worthy Captain Lovewell among them there did die. They killed Lieutenant Robbins, and wounded good young Fry. Who was our English chaplain? He many Indians slew, and some of them he scalped when bullets round him flew. Young Fulham too I'll mention, because he fought so well. Endeavouring to save a man, a sacrifice he fell. But yet our valiant Englishmen in fight were ne'er dismayed, but still they kept their motion, and Wyman's captain made, who shot the old chief Paugus, which did the foe defeat, and set his men in order, and brought off the retreat. And braving many dangers and hardships on the way, they safe arrived at Dunstable, the 13th day of May. The story of Lovewell's fight is told in another ballad, printed in Farmer and Moore's Historical Collections in 1824. It is an excellent example of ballad literature, describing the struggle in great detail and with unusual accuracy. Lovewell's Fight, May 8th, 1725. What time the noble Lovewell came, with 50 men from Dunstable, the cruel Pequot tribe to tame, with arms and bloodshed terrible. Then did the crimson streams that flowed seem like the waters of the brook, that brightly shine, that loudly dash, down the cliffs of Agiochook. With Lovewell brave John Harwood came, from wife and babes 'twas hard to part. Young Harwood took her by the hand, and bound the weeper to his heart. Repress that tear, my Mary dear, said Harwood to his loving wife. It tries me hard to leave thee here, and seek in distant woods the strife. When gone, my Mary, think of me, and pray to God that I may be such as one ought that lives for thee, and come at last in victory. Thus left young Harwood babe and wife, with accent wild she bade adieu. It grieved those lovers much to part, so fond and fair, so kind and true. Seth Wyman, who in Woburn lived, a marksman he of courage true, shot the first Indian whom they saw, sheer through his heart the bullet flew. The savage had been seeking game, 2 guns and eke a knife he bore, and 2 black ducks were in his hand. He shrieked and fell to rise no more. Anon there 80 Indians rose, who hid themselves in ambush dread. Their knives they shook, their guns they aimed, the famous Paugus at their head. Good heavens! They dance the powwow dance. What horrid yells the forest fill! The grim bear crouches in his den, the eagle seeks the distant hill. What means this dance, this powwow dance? Stern Wyman said with wondrous art. He crept full near, his rifle aimed, and shot the leader through the heart. John Lovewell, captain of the band, his sword he waved that glittered bright. For the last time he cheered his men and led them onward to the fight. Fight on, brave Lovewell said, fight on while heaven shall give you breath. An Indian ball then pierced him through, and Lovewell closed his eyes in death. John Harwood died all bathed in blood, when he had fought till set of day, and many more we may not name, fell in that bloody battle fray. When news did come to Harwood's wife, that he with Lovewell fought and died, far in the wilds had given his life, nor more would in their home abide. Such grief did seize upon her mind, such sorrow filled her faithful breast, on earth she ne'er found peace again, but followed Harwood to his rest. 'Twas Paugus led the Pequot tribe, as runs the fox would Paugus run, as howls the wild wolf would he howl, a large bear skin had Paugus on. But Chamberlain of Dunstable, one whom a savage ne'er shall slay, met Paugus by the waterside and shot him dead upon that day. Good heavens! Is it a time for prayer? Is this a time to worship God, when Lovewell's men are dying fast, and Paugus's tribe have felt the rod? The chaplain's name was Jonathan Fry. In Andover his father dwelt, and oft with Lovewell's men he prayed, before the mortal wound he felt. A man was he of comely form, polished and brave, well learnt and kind. Old Harvard's learned halls he left, far in the wilds a grave to find. Ah! Now his blood-red arm he lifts, his closing lids he tries to raise, and speak once more before he dies, in supplication and in praise. He prays kind heaven to grant success, brave Lovewell's men to guide and bless, and when they've shed their heart-blood true, to raise them all to happiness. Come hither, farewell, said young Fry, to see that I'm about to die. Now for the love I bear to you, when cold in death my bones shall lie. Go thou and see my parents dear, and tell them you stood by me here. Console them when they cry, alas! and wipe away the falling tear. Lieutenant Farwell took his hand, his arm around his neck he threw, and said, "Brave chaplain, I would wish that heaven had made me die for you." The chaplain on kind Farwell's breast, bloody and languishing he fell, nor after this said more, but this, "I love thee, soldier, fare thee well." Ah, many a wife shall rend her hair, and many a child cry, "Woe is me!" when messengers the news shall bear of Lovewell's dear bought victory. With footsteps slow shall travellers go, where Lovewell's pond shines clear and bright, and mark the place where those are laid who fell in Lovewell's bloody fight. Old men shall shake their heads and say, sad was the hour and terrible, when Lovewell brave 'gainst Paugus went, with 50 men from Dunstable. End of section 34.